Hello everyone, welcome to Unit 2. So we are going to spend this unit talking all about the gear. We're going to talk about different types of cameras. We're going to talk about lenses and how they work and also how that affects your final image. And then we're going to spend some time just talking about managing your data, managing your files, and the best practices for backing up. So we are going to start now with a simple question. This first lesson is just called, what is a camera? Now, that's a very simplistic question that you guys know the big answer for. So we're not going to get into the simple things that maybe you already feel like you know. But what's important is that we all have a common vocabulary. So we are going to just go through in this unit some of the different terms and jargon that you're going to hear throughout this course. So before you jump into the content below, let's just do a quick overview of what you're going to be reading about. So first off, you're going to learn about what is the camera, and we're going to talk about the camera body as well as some of the important parts within the camera. So if we just look at the body, you guys all have your own cameras. Some of you are using phones, right? The essential part is the same. We need something that will record light and it will save it to some kind of device. So it could be film that it's saving it to, or it could be a digital sensor. If you're using any kind of digital camera, you have a digital sensor in there, whether it's a beefy thing like this or a phone. Now on the camera body, you obviously have, everyone's is going to look a little bit different, but you have your shutter button, you have your grip, you have different ways to change different settings on here. You have your viewfinder. One little trick here that sometimes people miss, if sometimes you feel like, well, I'm never getting focus, there's this little dial on the side of your viewfinder that's called your diopter. That can sometimes get knocked out of place and then everything looks out of focus. That's there for people to adjust the viewfinder to your own sight. So if you wear glasses, you might actually find that you can adjust this where you can actually use a viewfinder without your glasses. So something to look into. First thing to check, if you're like, I can't, every time I take a picture it's out of focus, it might be because this got shifted. So take a look at that. Inside the camera, in a digital camera, you will have your sensor. Now this is a mirrorless camera, meaning the sensor is just right there. In a DSLR, or the old version of it, an SLR, you will have a mirror on the inside. And that is what is recording through the lens and going up into your viewfinder. So when you're looking through your lens, you're actually bouncing off some mirrors into this prism at the top and then looking through the viewfinder. So you're looking through this set of mirrors. In a mirrorless camera, you're actually just seeing what's being recorded right on the sensor. These are called electric viewfinders. Some mirrorless cameras will have a hybrid. I'm looking at the Fuji X100 series, will have a hybrid. And the X Pro, I think, as well, has a hybrid. So you can see it as the electric, what you're seeing from the sensor, or optical, meaning you're seeing what's actually through the viewfinder. But on most mirrorless cameras, it's just an electrical viewfinder. So that's the basics of the camera body. The main part about a camera body is that it is light sealed and tight, so that the only light that's coming through is what's being recorded on either your film or on your sensor. We are also going to look at lenses. Now, one terminology that you'll often hear with lenses, you're going to hear the term prime lenses and zoom lenses. So I'm a bit of a prime whore, so I only have prime lenses. A prime lens means that it is one set focal length. You cannot change the focal length. So for example, this one is 50 millimeters on a full frame camera. This is 45 millimeters on a 35 millimeter film camera. And this one is 28 millimeter. Zoom will allow you, zoom lenses will have a range. So it might be something like 18 to 55. That means you can go as wide as 18 millimeters all the way up to 55 millimeters. Another thing that you'll find with lenses, the other number that you'll see, is your aperture, your base aperture and your maximum aperture. Your aperture, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but your aperture are those little blades on the inside of your camera. You can see that little octagon there? That's your aperture. It will open and close when you take the picture depending on what you set it to. This is where it gets confusing. Smaller numbers, wider aperture. So if you're shooting at 1.8, you actually have it really wide open. There's more about that in the text, so don't stress if that's new information or confusing information. Some lenses will have a fixed aperture. This lens, this little pancake lens, is a fixed aperture, meaning I can't change it. So every time I shoot with this, I am shooting at, what is it? 4.5. And I know that because it says it on the lens itself. So in this unit, you're going to see all these numbers, and you're going to kind of figure out what these numbers mean. But that's just a quick introduction to that. So your camera body and your lens work together to project that information onto your sensor, or if you're using film, onto your film stock. You'll have a better idea about all this after going through the content below. If you are following along on Reddit, just know that on the actual website, there are some interactive elements in this unit. So I highly recommend going over to the website because I cannot input those into Reddit. So go on into the website and try out some of those interactive elements, read through this lesson. And in our next lesson, we are going to talk about different types of cameras. So I will see you all there.